Welcome into the latest episode of the FFPC Insider Access Show here live on the Better Sports Network. It is Fantasy Football Night in America, and we are celebrating it hard tonight. My name is Eric Balkman. You can connect with me on the X at ERICBALKMAN. You know me from the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown, and of course the Fantasy Football Players Championship at myffpc.com. Banner night tonight as we are into mid-November. I am in, 40-some leagues, and I think about 2/3 of those, this is the last week of the regular season because the playoffs will start next week. So it's a big night for me. It's a big night for FFPC players. It's a big night for anybody who is a fan of the one Kacey Kasem. You check her out at Optimus Fantasy, at RotoBaller, and she is the host of the Get Real podcast at GetReal_pod, at RotoBaller, and of course, at the Kacey Kasem. Kacey Kasem, welcome back.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. What a great little intro right there. I love it.
I feel like I'm skipping out on stuff that I know you're in the t-shirt business.
Yeah.
You do a ton of stuff with fantasy football.
Man, I'm all over the place. And it's getting to a point where, what am I doing? Let's see. I've got Sunday Dreamers Club as well. It's my t-shirts that you're talking about. I do fantasy football t-shirts. I podcast over at Optimus with Nate. Mm-hmm. And then Fantasy Six Pack, I do a podcast over there with Keith Fleming as well.
It's crazy, right? With all of this. Now I'm gonna lead this off. I'm gonna get on my soapbox here for a little bit to lead things off. And I know nobody cares about this, which is why I'm gonna make it brief. I've been hearing people in the fantasy football industry complaining about how much of a grind it is, right? Mm-hmm. And oh my God, we got another Europe game this week, and now I got to get up early and watch that or whatever. And when I hear that, just as because I'm a content producer, I'm also a content consumer. I'm like, and Scott Pianowski from Yahoo, a former co-host of this show, has said this multiple times. And I think I've repeated it multiple times because I think it's totally true. We work in the toy department, Kacey. Like we should not be complaining about having to watch an extra 3 hours on a Sunday. So I'm going to put this out there right now, and I'll let you chime in on this.
Yeah.
Because I know you probably have feelings on this as well. I feel blessed to do what I do. This is certainly not my only gig, so I have other stuff to fall back on. But I feel blessed that I get an extra 3 hours of football on Sunday, or we're trying to help people win leagues. To go deeper into that, to try to give good advice and help people accomplish something that they set out to do in August or July or May or April or whatever. I feel like that's a blessing. That's something, it's a privilege that we get to do. And I can't stand it when people are complaining about extra football or extra work. Because as Scott Pianowski said, we work in the toy department. Nobody wants to hear us complain. And I'm not going to complain. Your thoughts on this?
All I complain about is having to get up early, and that's fine. Other than
you don't complain about it because it's fine, right?
It's fine. It's fine.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And the grind and everything, it is a grind sometimes. Mm-hmm. I'm one of those people who is still trying to figure out what they're doing in life at the young age of 41. So a lot of that is a lot of it being a grind is a lot of me making it a grind when it really shouldn't be. Get back to the roots and actually see why you're doing what you're doing because you love it. So I will take a grind that I enjoy doing over a grind that I hate any day. So
yeah, 100%. And I think that's what I'm coming back to. I think Adam Levitan was talking about this on the Established Around podcast earlier this week. And he said, it seems like everybody he knows complains about their job and he never complains about his job. I don't think there's any job out there that even one that you don't have. And I know I said I was going to be brief on this, and I'm just this. But even a job you don't have, let's say you're retired at 35 or whatever, you still need a purpose of life. You still need to have some sort of usefulness or whatever. So if you don't have a gig, you're going to complain about that. I think most people, there's no one perfect job where, oh God, it's amazing every single minute of every single day. There's nothing like that out there. We're very fortunate to do what we do.
Yes.
Okay. Now, coming up on tonight's show, Kacey and I will go around the NFL I don't know why I went off on that. I just was really irritated.
No, it's good.
We're going to go around the NFL with the latest NFL news. A lot of tight end news tonight that we're going to get into. We'll talk about Ricky Pearsall, the Brock Purdy news that came out just before we went on air. We'll get into that as well as the Texans quarterback news that came out earlier this afternoon. We got Thursday Night Football tonight for Fantasy Football Night in America. It is the Jets visiting the Patriots. We're going to be talking about who the starting quarterback is with the Jets. We think it's Justin Fields, but I guess we don't know for sure. We're going to talk about Breece Hall, the other pass catchers. There's one new pass catcher for the Jets that's going to be active for the first time wearing a Jets jersey. We'll talk about that. And then the Patriots side, Drake Maye, what an unbelievable season he's had. We're going to talk about what we missed on that as fantasy owners to let him slip so far in drafts. Trevion Henderson, we're going to be on the watch tonight for him potentially having another breakout game. And then we'll talk about those Patriots pass catchers as well as we try to hammer down the right ones to start, the right ones to bench going forward. And then Casey and I will get into a rousing discussion of starter sits for Week 11, including but not limited to Woody Marks, Jerry Jeudy, Luke Musgrave, and Jacoby Brissett. If you want to play in the FFPC Weekly Challenge, the Thursday edition, time is running out on this. We have just over an hour before kickoff on Thursday Night Football. You want to make sure that you sign up now at myffpc.com. Once again, that website, myffpc.com. The weekly challenge features no draft. It features no salary cap. You're just picking 10 players. Or if you want to play with kickers and defenses, you're picking 12 players. Win up to $2,500, 10, 30, and 100 team contest. Now, you say, Balky, all I got to do is pick players. Yes, that's all you have to do. You don't have to do anything else. The slant is on this, you can only pick one player per NFL team. So if you want Dak Prescott, you can't have CeeDee Lamb. If you want Kenneth Walker, you can't have Jackson Smith and Jigma. One player per NFL team. Register now, myffpc.com. Shout out to our producer, Sean Engel. Thank you so much for viewing, listening, streaming, downloading this. I know we're live on the Better Sports Network here, but this can also be heard in an audio version. So if you can't hang out for the full 2 hours tonight, you can pick up this podcast anywhere you get podcasts as well. Casey, let's talk about Brenton Strange here. Brenton Strange was left for dead, and probably he should have been. When you consider all the changes that the Jacksonville Jaguars have underwent since he went on IR back in, week 4, week 5? I mean, it was super early.
It was early.
And I think the thing to understand here is when he went to IR, he was leading the team in targets, receptions, and receiving yards. So this was a guy that figured heavily into the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. I didn't get to see the practice reports today, so I don't know where he's at on that. But I know yesterday he was limited in practice. Earlier this week, he had his 21-day practice window open because he's on IR. Travis Hunter, we found out, is done for the year. He's not coming back until 2026. Parker Washington has a hamstring injury, and I think he came back to practice today, but he's dealing with that. And Brian Thomas, limited practice today, but he's also dealing with an ankle injury right now. So I look at all these things combined. The receiving room or the pass catcher room seems a little bit more crowded in Jacksonville than what it was when he got hurt. And I didn't even mention the trade for Jacoby Myers, who's also there now as well. But I think with everybody battered and beat up, Strange is a very, very interesting player to acquire in tight end premium leagues right now if he's out there. And I know he's out there in some leagues. This is a player that he's not going to be a league winner, but I think he could be a difference maker down the stretch. How do you feel about it?
No, I feel the same way. I was big on him going into the season. I really was hoping that he could be. I mean, he looked really awesome to start the season. Surprised, more than I thought he was going to actually start off looking. And they need that. They need somebody back with, like you said, they have so many guys there, but the injuries and everything else, it's just, man, Brenton Strange, when he's out there, he's just kind of a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the thing to understand is like, at the start of the season, they had Travis Hunter. At the start of the season, they had Brian Thomas. And yet this was the guy that Lawrence kept looking to. Lawrence is a guy that, anything he can grasp onto in order to keep this offense going in the right direction, he's going to do. And I think that's why it's important to understand if he is out there in your FFPC tight end premium league, or even like I wanted to pick him up in some of my KFFSC leagues, which are not tight end premium, but still important to get this pass catcher on your team. I think that's what you have to do, is try to carve out a spot on your team to get this guy on it, to make sure that you are loaded for bear in case anything happens with your already previously stud tight end on your squad. You can insert Brenton Strange. And I think that you'll be good to go for the remainder of the season. Steve Yergalos, the fantasy soprano himself, chiming in on YouTube. Trevor Lawrence is so bad he thought Brenton Strange was Brian Thomas Jr. Listen, man, we could do a full hour on what's going on with Trevor Lawrence in this offense, in the fact that he has not developed the way that the Jaguars thought he would, and maybe that's a commentary on the coaching and the development team in place in Jacksonville. I don't know. I want to talk about another tight end here, Casey, as we move on to Oronde Gadsden II. Not Oronde Gadsden Jr., but apparently Oronde Gadsden II. Who am I to judge? He practiced fully today, which was great. And it seems like he is going to have his normal workload for the Chargers this week. He was dealing with a quad bruise. We were all holding our breaths to make sure that he was going to be active for week 11. And it seems like this is going to be a situation where he's good to go and he's going to be able to put up numbers for you. Now, last week, he really disappointed. And I know the injury had something to do with that. When you look at this Chargers offense, knowing that Gadsden is slated to play, and certainly it would be a huge upset if he does not play in week 11, Casey. When you look at his matchup, he's going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who we just got done talking about. They are a 3-point favorite on the road. Total's pretty small at 43.5. But I will say, Keenan Allen has taken a step back.
Yes.
We've seen Quentin Johnston take a step back.
Yep.
And I got to believe that a significant reason for that has been the rise of Oronde Gadsden. If you got him, even in a non-tight end premium league, really difficult for me to formulate an argument where I say, you know what, give him an extra week. Let's see what he does. I think you roll him out there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And just a few weeks ago, I had people saying, like, I picked him up off of waivers and now I'm having to start him. No, you're not having to start him. You get to start him. That's so amazing. You get to start him.
That's what I always say with my kids, and like, oh, we have to go to school. No, you get to go to school. Like that's the way it is. And there is one league, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say this. Steve Yergalos, who's in the chat right now, will at least be sympathetic to this. One of my leagues, Casey, it was the longest I've ever gone in any fantasy league without a win. And then I've been playing fantasy since the mid-90s. I finally got my first win in week 10, so I avoided the winless season. But in that league, I just noticed I have 4 tight ends in that league, and it's non-tight end premium. I have Kittle. I was the lucky bidder on Oronde Gadsden a few weeks back. I also have Theo Johnson, and I can't remember my 4th tight end. It's like Dallas Goedert or somebody like that. But I can only start 2 tight ends in that league. And so I'm like, God, I'm just absolutely loaded in that league. But I also, Kittle obviously missed a good chunk of the season. Yeah. I think that was a Malik Neighbors team I had, who obviously went down early, and it never really had a shot. But now I got to kind of balance this out. Like, how am I going to suss this out, trying to figure out which tight end to start? And I've been doing Gadsden and Kittle the last few weeks, and I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. There are some leagues where I'll put a tight end in flex, and it's not a tight end premium league or anything. I'm just, they're going to score more points than whatever,
That's how I look at it too. Like, you can't, especially the way that modern NFL teams are looking at tight ends. I don't think we can just look at them as like flex tight ends anymore. We have to look at them as kind of quasi wide receiver 3s or wide receiver 4s, which would make some sense in starting these guys going forward. So yeah, I'm with you. Not only in tight end premium leagues, but in non-tight end premium leagues, if you have the right combination, a tight end certainly makes sense at flex. And it would dictate you also being a little bit weak at running back and receiver, which quite frankly I am in some of my leagues.
Yeah.
But I'll roll that extra tight end out there. Tom Smith chiming in on YouTube tonight, Casey. He's got a quarterback dilemma. He does not have Jackson Dart this week. We already found out through Giants interim coach Mike Kafka that Jameis Winston will get the start against Green Bay this weekend. He could pick up Jacoby Brissett. Would he be a better play for this week only over Brock Purdy, who we found out moments before we went on the air that Brock Purdy is going to return this week against the Arizona Cardinals? It's quite a conundrum here.
That is a conundrum.
And listen, Tom, I don't know who you're dropping to pick up Jacoby Brissett, but Brissett, Casey, and we'll probably get into this more as the show goes on, he's been really, really good in Kyler Murray's place. If we look at the matchups this week, Jacoby Brissett is actually hosting the San Francisco 49ers with a game total of 48.5. If you look at Purdy, he's the 3-point favorite. So definitely the negative game script should favor Jacoby Brissett in this game. It comes down to who would you rather play, Purdy or Brissett? And quite frankly, at Thursday night, I don't know if I have a good answer for this, Casey. Do you?
Thursday night, I'm not sure I have a good answer for this either. Yeah, it really does. Like, I'd have to look at who I'm dropping. I might personally just take the shot with Purdy, depending on who I have to drop.
Well, I want to talk about the Niners offense throughout the show because Pearsall is somebody worth bringing up as well. That's what it comes down to. Tom said he'd be dropping Trevor Lawrence in this case. And if you can roll with Brock Purdy and Jacoby Brissett, and you're dropping Trevor Lawrence, I think I'm okay with that. Now, I don't know if this is FFPC or KFFSC or whatever, but he will not be able to reacquire Trevor Lawrence, which is another pepper into the gumbo here that we have to, suss out. I think I'm okay with that, Casey. I don't know how you feel about this, but I would cut Trevor Lawrence to make sure I have Brissett on my roster because I do believe he plays out the string. He plays out every game, the remainder of the season with Kyler Murray on IR. I don't think they bring him back. I think I'd rather have Purdy and Brissett over Purdy and Trevor Lawrence the rest of the way. So I'd make this move.
Yeah, I think I would as well. It would probably take me a minute to actually pull the trigger on it. But I think that, that seems like a viable thought process right there.
I want to let's get back to and Tom, hopefully that helps you out. I want to get back to the tight end conversation here, specifically in Houston, Casey. Aaron Wilson earlier this afternoon posted on X that Dalton Schultz, dealing with a shoulder injury, was not seen practicing today. Now, 2 weeks ago, if we remember this, Schultz did not practice Wednesday. He did not practice Thursday. Got in a full practice Friday. Played on Sunday. He is not healthy. We know that there's a lot of NFL players that are not healthy at this point, but he knows the offense. And obviously he doesn't really have to do a whole lot of practice reps during the week to make sure he is ready to play on Sunday. Cade Stover is currently on IR with Houston right now. Now, if he gets taken off IR, that could eat into the volume of Dalton Schultz here as well. For what it's worth, and I don't think this is a big deal, the Texans decided to put an illness moniker next to Dalton Schultz's name on the injury report. I think most NFL players will play through illnesses. Yeah. But what's intriguing about this, at least from my standpoint, is if you look at who the Texans are battling this week, and we haven't talked about, we'll get into the CJ Stroud aspect of this, but if you look at who the Texans are playing this week, it's a juicy matchup in Nashville against the Titans. Now, they are about a touchdown favorite, and maybe that leads more into like Nick Chubb, Woody Marks, so on and so forth. But when you consider that Schultz hasn't practiced yet, it is a little concerning. However, my personal take on this is if I have Schultz in a tight end premium league, especially one like the FFPC, where you can submit multiple flexes, if that dude is, even if he doesn't practice on Friday, Casey, if that dude is active on Sunday, I'm playing him against the Titans. Maybe that's foolhardy on my part. Maybe I'm putting too much confidence in Dalton Schultz if he doesn't practice all week, but I feel really good about if he's active, I'm going to play him in a tight end premium league.
Yeah, if he's active, I'm the same way. Seeing the targets that he saw last week and getting a touchdown and doing all that, that's just the extra, you're so happy about it. But yes, kiss, man, it's great. I do feel comfortable though throwing him out there if he is active.
How did you feel about him at the start of the season? Just curiously, like during draft, because they invested in Jalen Noel and
Right.
Jake Higgins, and obviously they had a healthy Nico Collins to start the season. How did you feel about Dalton Schultz at the start of the year? Because I think he was kind of underdrafted, and he's been outperforming a lot of people's draft expectations. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think I had him. I was a little out on him too. I was a little lower than I probably should have been. I will admit that.
As I think most people were.
I just didn't see it happening, but yeah, he's pleasantly surprised lately.
One of the things that I thought was so compelling about the NFL draft this year, speaking of tight ends, was how high Tyler Warren, how high Colston Loveland got drafted, right? Mm-hmm. We rarely see tight ends drafted that high be complete misses. And I don't think I think both these guys are going to be very successful in the long run. Now, Colston Loveland was dealing with, I believe, if I remember correctly, a shoulder injury from his time in college at the University of Michigan, and that kind of set him back a little bit. But we saw the breakout 2 weeks ago against Cincinnati, where he just went absolutely ham on the Bengals defense, and quite frankly, most people are going ham on the Bengals defense.
Yeah, that's true.
But it happened, right? And that was his breakout. And when we look at what the Bears are dealing with here this week, it's Colston Loveland, it's Cole Kmet, who was limited on Wednesday. Do I have an updated? I'm just going to look this up right now. Yeah. I don't know if you saw anything.
I didn't see. So.
Oh, no, I got it right here. Limited yesterday. He got in a full practice today. Did Cole Kmet. So It looks like he's going to play against Minnesota this week. I don't know how you feel about the pecking order in Chicago right now between a healthy enough Cole Kmet and then the rookie Colston Loveland, who's really been coming on. If I had to start one of them, if I had both of them on the same team, it would be Loveland. But really the question that we have to suss out here is trying to figure out how confident, Casey, we feel in Colston Loveland, knowing that Cole Kmet is getting in full practices and is still going to be a factor, at least in some degree, on the Bears offense against the Vikings on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm still, if I have them both, I am going Loveland as well. Got to temper my expectations a little bit with Cole Kmet coming back and everything, but I think that I still feel comfortable with how Loveland's been coming on lately. Yeah. So when I've got that confidence, I keep rolling with it.
How do you feel about Loveland long term? I mean, are you a believer in? We'll expand it out. Let's expand it out to a lot of these rookie tight ends.
Yeah.
Tyler Warren, Oronde Gadsden. Are any of these guys fool's gold, or do you believe in all three of these guys long term in the NFL?
I think I believe in all three of them. I'm pretty set on believing in these guys going forward.
I'll throw in Harold Fannin in there too. Is that another guy that you're believing in?
Yeah, I'm believing in him. Maybe not as much as those other guys, but I still am believing in him. So he might not be the top guy when everything's said and done, but I still am believing in him.
I just want David Njoku out of Cleveland.
Yeah, that's the just go.
And I think he's a free agent after this season, if I remember correctly. So we could see that. It was a really good year for rookie tight ends in this year's class. We mentioned Loveland, Warren. Mason Taylor is another guy. Terrence Ferguson, who allegedly the Rams were going to take in round 1 if they didn't trade out of round 1 with the Atlanta Falcons. But Terrence Ferguson's another guy. Elijah Arroyo has kind of dropped off, and I don't know why that is. Certainly it could be the rise of Torrey Horton and then obviously the trade of Rashid Shaheed. But we could be looking back on this tight end class, Casey, in a few years and oh God, remember that tight end class of 2025? There's a lot of juice here. There's a lot of
there is.
We like for sure. All right, moving on, and I want to stick with the tight ends. Like I said, there's a lot of injury stuff to unpack here, and we got to figure this out. Dalton Kincaid did not practice for the Bills yesterday. He did not practice again today. He was labeled by Sean McDermott, his head coach, on Monday as week to week. I got to believe he's not going to be playing this weekend. Now, knowing that, and maybe we'll expand this, Casey, to more of a discussion on the Bills offense in general. You have Dawson Knox, you have Jackson Hawes, the 7th, another rookie tight end from this year's class, who got a touchdown last week at the tight end position. You look at either one of these guys in your tight end premium lineups. Do any of them get you excited, get you titillated to put them in your lineup if Kincaid does not play? Or is this a situation to avoid, given how the Bills laid an egg against the Dolphins and, quite frankly, haven't been capital letters Buffalo Bills for most of the season?
Yeah. I think I am kind of just avoiding those guys altogether this week. I'm just not. Yeah. I think I just would. I don't think I could pivot to any of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Dawson Knox, I mean, sure, if I absolutely had to, I think, but.
I think the other thing that I want to get into here. Now, I'm not a knee-jerk reaction guy, and I do believe the Bills are going to figure this out over the long term. But we heard Brandon Beane on WGR 550 in Buffalo a few weeks back, kind of going off on the fact that people questioning his decision not to go after a big name wide receiver either via trade or free agency, saying that they had this great offense, which they did, but they've been scuffling a little bit this year. Josh Allen can only do so much.
Right.
Like, there's a reason he trots out there with the 17 on his chest rather than the Superman S, because he's not Superman. He can only do so much within his power. And I think like James Cook got off to such a great start this year that we thought they're going to be able to survive with Cook and Allen. And I don't know, the way the AFC is shaping up right now, I think they need to do more. And I don't know if this offense is capable of that. And when we consider for fantasy purposes, everything going on, yes, Josh Allen is a no-brainer start. Yes, James Cook is a no-brainer start. But now with Kincaid hurt, I'm not trusting any of these pass catchers right now, Kacey.
No, it's hard. It's so hard. I know some of us are in those situations where we have to, but but that doesn't mean we trust them. Just because we're starting them doesn't mean we actually trust them. So.
Matthew Berry from Fantasy Life always says trust is a strong word. And I don't trust Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir. I mean, I guess I trust Khalil Shakir to the point where, like, I know what I'm getting from him.
Right.
I'm not expecting like a ceiling game. Just give me a floor game, and he pretty much gives you a floor game every single game.
Yep.
Okay, let's go into the chat right now. The Scott Engel, the king from RotoBaller, your colleague there, chiming in. Smash tight end play. Cincy has allowed 12 touchdowns to tight ends. The next worst is 7th. It's a Pat Freiermuth week. He also likes Tyler Higbee. Yeah, listen. Here's the thing: tight end premium leagues, I think Freiermuth and Higbee are definite. I wouldn't say strong, but I would say solid starts. Non-tight end premium, hopefully you have a better option. But if you don't, the king is chiming in here with Freiermuth and Higbee. I get it. All right. Permar 99.8 is chiming in right now. He has to flex 2 of these players. Excuse me. He's in a league where he has to flex 2 players. He needs 1 from Harold Fannin, Ricky Pearsall, and Sean Tucker, and he wants to know if Ricky Pearsall is going to get a full workload. So let's unpack that first as we try to answer Permar's question here, Kacey. Ricky Pearsall, according to his head coach, Kyle Shanahan, literally minutes ago, Shanahan said Pearsall is going to play against the Cardinals in Week 11. Pearsall, talking to the media before practice today, said that he felt like he felt like himself again, which is good. Like we love to hear that. However, limited practice Wednesday. He did not get into full practice today. He was limited again today. Shanahan said that the 49ers medical staff declared Pearsall, quote, healthy and good to go. He ranked 3rd among NFL wide receivers with 281 receiving yards over the first 3 weeks of the season. And if he is back to normal, this should be very exciting to trot out Ricky Pearsall this week against the Cardinals. Well, we have to sort through this. Are you buying what Shanahan, the 49ers medical staff, is saying? If you have Ricky Pearsall, are you automatically playing him, Kacey, let's say, as a top 30 option this week?
I am. I'm just going to go. Sometimes it's a little gut and a little bit of like, really, I'm going to trust that he's going to see, at least if he doesn't see a full workload, I'm going to think it's going to be enough to justify starting him over the other guys.
You know, there's no Brandon Ayuk. Obviously, Deebo Samuel is in Washington.
Yep.
And you have Juwan Jennings there. Maybe this is more of like, these people that were holding out, and I'm including myself in this. I have Kendrick Bourne still in a couple of my lineups this week that I've been trying to think of a good reason to get him out. And maybe this is reason enough. Not only with Pearsall coming back, but with Brock Purdy coming back. The big attraction to starting a guy like Kendrick Bourne was his chemistry that he had with Mac Jones that dates back to their time in New England. And so at that point, it's like, if you don't have Purdy and Pearsall's coming back, this is an easy bench Kendrick Bourne situation, and get Purdy in there, get Pearsall in there. Let's go to Tom. Oh my God. How about this question, Casey? Tom Smith, our buddy Finns fan. Drake Maye or Josh Allen? Never thought it would be asked this late into the season. This is fascinating.
It's very fascinating.
So I have a feeling on this. I'm not going to say where I stand on it. Drake Maye is home tonight against the Jets. Josh Allen is at home against the Buccaneers. Casey, you can only play one. Who's it going to be?
I'm probably going Drake Maye.
Oh my God!
Isn't that hilarious? But
it is hilarious. Well, but it's hilarious. It would have been hilarious prior to week 1. Yeah. It is not hilarious right now.
No.
Your reasoning on benching Josh Allen in favor of Drake Maye.
Well, first, I kind of just want to get it out of the way. So Drake Maye plays, get it over with. No. Really, what I was thinking here, Drake Maye is quietly just he is putting up solid. He is. Like, I was talking with Nate earlier about this, like what he's been doing this season. I don't know why I've been sleeping on him, but yeah, I'm just going with what he's been doing lately. And and against the Jets tonight, I'm just, yeah.
The total tonight is 43.5, which is a little bit low. And then when you consider Drake Maye, not Drake Maye, the New England Patriots are 12.5-point favorites.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that screams Trevion Henderson, Terrell, like Jennings. This is going to be a running game. So now it's close for me, Casey. I
it is
forth on this, and I assume it's close for you.
It is very close.
So I'm going to bench Maye in favor of Josh Allen, and the total on the Buccaneers game is 4 points higher. Granted, you still have a positive game script for Buffalo, which kind of works against Josh Allen. But his team is only a 5.5-point favorite, whereas the Patriots are 12.5. And in regards to Allen, with apologies to Drake Maye, this is not his fault. Allen's got the longer track record. We've seen Allen do a lot of damage inside the 5, inside the 2, at the 1-yard line. And DraftKings earlier this week listed Drake Maye as the MVP favorite. So who am I to call out, oh my God, you have to be playing Allen over Maye? I don't think you have to.
No, I don't. It's to me very interesting.
It's a gut call. It's a gut
call. It really felt like it was one of those where it's like 49-51. Like, yeah.
I think so. So Casey's going Maye. I'm going Allen. We didn't help you at all, Tom, but I appreciate you watching. This is.
And now go with your gut.
Now go with your gut. Exactly. All right. Sean Humans, maybe it's Sean Humans, 4249, has another start sit question here. We're going to go to him right now. This is a wide receiver question that he is facing this week. Emeka Egbuka, who is at said Buffalo Bills, or he can play one DeVonta Smith, who could be in a high-scoring game at home against the Detroit Lions. I'll go first on this, Casey. I'd love to hear what you have to say. With no Mike Evans, I don't believe Chris Godwin plays this week as well. Emeka Egbuka should be the featured target in a game where Tampa is going to try to hang with Buffalo as best they can. And how do you hang with them? It's by throwing the ball, and it's by throwing the ball to Egbuka. DeVonta Smith, while he did catch the lone touchdown for Philly on Monday night against Green Bay, I do believe that the Eagles are winning games ugly right now with their defense, with a seemingly healthy Saquon Barkley. And we know A.J. Brown is begging to get the ball thrown to him this week based on his appearances on Instagram and so on and so forth. So I do like both these guys as a start this week, but if I can only pick one, I'm benching Smith. I'm starting Egbuka. How would you handle the situation?
It's the same way for me as well. Egbuka, I'm more comfortable starting just the way Smith. Yes, Smith didn't tell us to go ahead and drop him from fantasy rosters. Like, so okay, so yes, I feel more comfortable starting him there than AJ Brown. But here we go. Egbuka is just, he's got to be the guy that gets it because the injuries, Chris Godwin's just, that whole situation makes it so sad.
Would you, I mean, is Chris Godwin droppable for you?
I say yes. I've been saying it. So,
okay.
For me, I think he is.
I got him. My son, who's 12 years old, we co-own a team together with a bunch of his buddies, and we had to figure out what we were doing at quarterback this week. And I said, well, we can always cut Chris Godwin if need be. And I looked, we already cut him like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Nobody's picked him up yet.
Nobody's picked him up.
It could be a lost season for Godwin. We'll see what happens with Tampa next year. But I think if you own Emeka Egbuka in Tampa, you feel much more strongly if you own Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, at least in dynasty leagues. So there you go on that. Okay. Sean Humans also has, a defense question. I love defense questions. We never get these on the show. The Atlanta Falcons defense or the Dallas Cowboys defense this week. Now, Atlanta is at home against Carolina Panthers. Dallas is in Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. I am not ashamed, or maybe I should be ashamed to admit this. I picked up the Cowboys defense in a couple of leagues last night, Casey, and I will be rolling out the Cowboys defense as a starter in my leagues, some of my leagues this week with playoffs on the line, because I do believe that they can make plays against whoever is going to be, throwing the football for Las Vegas, whether it's Geno Smith or somebody else. So I like both these teams. Streaming defenses is a little bit tougher in week 11. I mean, I think we hit on the big ones here with Atlanta and Dallas. I would throw Chicago as another one that you could probably stream this week. But if it comes down to the Falcons or Cowboys, listen, I think the Cowboys are fine this week, but I like the Falcons quite a bit more at home against the Panthers. How do you handle this?
Yeah, I like the Falcons too. Because I'm a Cowboys fan, so that might be a little bit of my bias showing where I'm like, well, Cowboys defense, okay. But yes, against the Raiders, I think they can get something done. But I think I feel more comfortable going with the Falcons this week.
Yeah, Tom says I picked up the Dallas defense, which means the Raiders will probably score 40 points. Could be another big Brock Bowers game. You never know.
You never know.
But listen, we don't care about results. We care about process, and it's all about refining the process, trying to get the process right, because we will never be able to control the results, but we will be able to control the process. Okay, let's go back up to Sean. You might have to scroll up a little bit on this one. Mr. Bakes a lot chiming in tonight. Yeah, you got it. What's up, homies? Start Mac Hollins or Khalil Shakir, who is currently on the injury report and limited in practice with both ankle and ribs injuries. Yeah, we'll talk about, we'll get to Mac Hollins here in a second, but I think it's worth bringing up Khalil Shakir to lead things off as we try to figure out this situation. So the latest we got from Joe Buscaglia, who I believe I know he covers the Bills. I think it's for The Athletic, but don't quote me on that. Khalil Shakir limited on Thursday, and he has been wearing a non-contact jersey in practice this week. You'd love to see him get in a quote-unquote normal practice on Friday, but that may not happen. And then we got to wait till Sunday to see what's going to be going on with Khalil Shakir. Obviously, if you're dealing with ribs injuries, you want to make sure that you give that as much time as possible to recover. You don't want to be taking unnecessary shots, even if it's in practice. He is the quasi de facto, whatever you want to call it, number one receiver for Buffalo. And this is a good matchup for him in Tampa this week. However, the unfortunate situation for Mr. Bakes-A-Lot is he's got to make this call tonight. He cannot wait until Sunday to find out whether it's Shakir or Hollins. Now, in regards to Mac Hollins, I picked him up as a desperation play prior to week 10 in one of my leagues, and I started him, which worked out, and it was great. And then maybe stupidly, AKA probably stupidly, I doubled down on that and I picked him up in like probably 4 or 5 other leagues last night. And I have him going in, I think like 3 leagues, maybe 4 leagues this week, Casey. I don't love this for Matt Hollins because I know Drake Maye is talented enough to spread the ball around to guys like Hunter Henry, Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas. You know, there's a lot of options here. And granted, no Kayshon Boutte, no Austin Hooper tonight. But still, like the upside with Shakir, and I think that's what it comes down to, right? Because if you feel like you're a favorite, if you feel like you're in good shape, then just take the floor with Matt Hollins. And maybe it is a low floor, but there is a non-zero chance that Khalil Shakir misses week 11. There is also higher than a non-zero chance that his reps are monitored, that his reps are limited as well. So it kind of depends upon what you need. If you need the upside, then you wait on Shakir. If the floor is going to get you by, you're going to go with Hollins. That's the way I would look at it. I don't know what your perspective is on this.
No, yeah, I'm in a league in the Queen's Classic. I'm 9-1, not to brag, but hey,
congratulations!
Yeah, first place right now. Fingers crossed. Thank you, Jonathan Taylor. Anyway, yeah, I've been having to play Matt Hollins the last few weeks too, and I'm kind of okay with the safe floor, but that's just because of my roster. So, like you said, it kind of does depend. If I really needed, because Shakir is, if he's actually playing, like I trust him more. But
yeah,
you know,
well, I would too. And
obviously, yeah,
and that's the thing. That's what makes this so difficult because we have to make this decision tonight.
Yeah.
We don't have to, but Mr. Bakeswell has to make this decision tonight. In a vacuum, I will say I think Shakir plays, and I think he's worth the wait. But don't quote me on that because I'm letting you know right now that I could see a situation where Shakir does not play on Sunday. I think he does, but this is just gut instinct that we're going on right now. All right, let's go to Vash the Vash. Howdy, y'all. Hope y'all are well. I have a hard question. Who should I start between Parker Washington, Drake London, Emeka Egbuka, and Rashee Rice? Now, Vash the Vash, you have to chime in on this. Can you only start one of these players? Are we benching one of these players? Are we going 2 and 2 here? I guess the easy way to do this, Casey, is to rank them. And I would rank them, God, I'm going to rank them Rice, London, Egbuka, Washington, with the top 3 being a couple deep yawning chasms above Parker Washington. So that's how I'd rank them. I think I go Rice, London, Egbuka, Washington. How would you rank those players for week 11 here?
If I say the same thing you said, I'm not copying you. That's exactly the same ranking that I would give them with Washington at the end.
Do you also put Washington significantly further down? Okay. All right. Good. Great minds think alike, Casey. At least that's what we're hoping for. Let's see. What else do we have here in the YouTube chat? Juan Pena. Yes, that is a heavily involved question. I will try to respond to you specifically on YouTube, but this is not going to be great for radio and for viewership tonight. So I'll try to respond to that. Okay. Scott Engel, Dallas versus the Raiders, battle of the has-been franchises would be the game of the week in 1982. The problem is, Casey, you were barely alive in 82, right?
I wasn't alive yet.
You weren't alive. I was barely alive.
84.
82. So yeah. So we listen, Scott, you are the GOAT for a reason. You're the king. I can't really comment on early 80s games between the Cowboys and Raiders. How about this from Wandier 2634 on YouTube? We have to bench 2 of these players, Casey, for Wandier here. Travion Henderson, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, DeVonta Smith, and Quinshon Judkins. This is tough because I love all 5 of these. I don't love all 5 of these players, but I do like all 5 of these players this week. In the interest of you feeling like you're not copying me, I'll let you go first on this one. Tell me the 2 players you're benching out of Travion Henderson, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, DeVonta Smith, and Quinshon Judkins, and then I'll let you know which 2 players I'm benching in this coagulation here.
Goodness gracious.
It's tough.
It is tough. I'm gonna go Swift and Smith.
Swift is against the Vikings on the road. DeVonta Smith is at home against the Detroit Lions. That is what you're saying on this. I am with you on Smith for sure. And I'm assuming full PPR on this, by the way, which correct us if we're wrong here. ETN at home against the Chargers. I don't. This is close here. I'm playing Henderson for sure. I'm playing Judkins for sure.
Yeah.
I think what I'm going to do here, I'll slightly disagree with you. I'm going to bench Swift like you are, but I think I'm going to play ETN over DeVonta Smith, even if it's full PPR. Maybe that's a mistake, but this is close. But Wandier, we're trying to help. The best possible unison of advice that we can give you here tonight is benching DeAndre Swift. And then you can either take Kacey or Maye's advice.
Yeah. But we're having such a difficult time. I know we're not really helping you as much as, but
it's tough.
It's a good to be in a position like that, though, where you're like, I know it sounds cliche and I hate it when people tell me that, but
getting these things right. I mean, that's what separates the winners from the losers, especially in high stakes fantasy football. And we can only do so much. I always say this. I think David Dodds from Football Guys originally said this several years ago, that if you are getting 2/3 of your calls right, you not only are successful, you are a Hall of Famer. Because most people will not get 2/3 of their calls right. A lot of people not even get half their calls right, which is crazy when you think about that. Like coin flips might be better than delving deep into the information and the analysis on this, but sometimes that's the case. All right, let's get into the Cardinals running back situation here, Kacey. Bam Knight, according to Josh Dubow, who covers the Arizona Cardinals, was limited again on Thursday. Amari DeMarcado this past week touched the ball 7 times, which is not a lot.
Yeah.
But he got over 100 yards. And if we're just expecting Zonovan Knight, Bam Knight, a.k.a. Bam Knight, to get in and get the lion's share of the touches, that may be a fool's errand. That may be foolish to think that's going to happen. Jonathan Gannon in the past, especially after the Trey Benson, especially after the Trey Benson injury and James Conner injury as well. He kind of laid out what he thought he wanted to do in the backfield. Has not really done it recently and has not done it this week. Your thoughts? This is going against a San Francisco 49ers defense here that's without Fred Warner, certainly a shell of its former self. I think the Niners are gettable as far as going up against their defense. But when you consider that Bam Knight and Amari DeMarcado are both in the equation, I kind of want to just ignore both of them.
Yeah.
But there could be something here with one of them, right?
There could be. It's just the problem of those guys that you're like, which one is it going to be this week, right? We know those guys. We know the teams where we're like, seriously? And I don't want to be in that position this far into the season. I would try to pivot.
So sit both of them, try to find somebody else. That is what
possible.
I would say.
Yes.
Now, Kacey, here's the tough question. If it's not possible.
If it's not possible.
If you have to play one of these guys, so DeMarcado, I'm leaning DeMarcado over. I don't know how you feel.
I'm also leaning that way, DeMarcado.
Let's go to Twitch. We got Find the Human here on Twitch. How you guys feel about Diggs or Harvey? Now, this is interesting, and I'm assuming the way that this question is phrased, this is a question that Find the Human is facing in his or her league here, where he or she can only play one of these players, either Stephon Diggs tonight or RJ Harvey, who could be playing who will be playing against the Chiefs, but perhaps without J.K. Dobbins on this in this starting lineup. So I'm assuming full PPR on this. I would rather play Diggs tonight. My concern with Harvey, and we'll probably get into this later on in the show, my concern with Harvey, Kacey, is that even though Dobbins isn't playing, I feel like Sean Payton is going to incorporate Tyler Bidet, or he's going to incorporate Jaleel McLaughlin to the point where this is not RJ Harvey RB1 season. This is going to be RJ Harvey taking a bigger step up in touches, but not enough for me to say like, oh, he's the guy there, because I don't think he is, which is why I'd play Diggs tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. Play Diggs tonight. Kind of know what you're getting, but with Harvey, I don't want to have to be pulling my hair out because I didn't get exactly what I thought I was going to.
Now, I will say this, as Find the Human has chimed in, this is not full PPR. This is half PPR. This makes this decision a little tougher. I'm still going to say Diggs over Harvey here, but this gets a little bit closer, Casey, where I don't feel as confident in declaring Diggs as the better player over Harvey this week in half-point PPR leagues.
I don't feel as confident. I still lean that direction. It does move it a little bit where they get a little bit closer.
I'll leave the Broncos conversation there as far as the backfield goes. Let me ask you this: as we found out, Keaton Mitchell is dealing with a knee injury. He was limited in practice on Wednesday. The latest we have on him, as far as his practice report today, he got in a full practice, upgraded to a full practice today. Justice Hill is dealing with a toe injury, and he did not practice yesterday. He did not practice today. Now, here's what I want to ask you. In a lot of leagues, up until this past Wednesday, I was carrying Justice Hill in a bunch of on my teams. I cut him last night in a bunch of leagues, sometimes in favor of Keaton Mitchell, sometimes in favor of somebody else. I'm kind of done with Justice Hill because I think that he's never going to have contingent upside. Right. He's not going to have standalone value as long as Henry is healthy. And even if Henry gets hurt, I think it's Keaton Mitchell that the Ravens turn to. I feel like I made the right decision getting Justice Hill off my teams to stop him from clogging those rosters. And I did go after Keaton Mitchell, who, again, no standalone value. But if Henry were to go down, especially with the Ravens hell-bent on trying to still make the playoffs this year, I love Keaton Mitchell better as a handcuff, better as an injury away type guy for Ravens running backs, much more so than Justice Hill. And I'm kind of upset at myself that it took this long for me to realize it, but I'm all aboard Keaton Mitchell.
Justice Hill, he does that to us, though. We were like, oh, man. Yeah, I think that was the right move you made there to go in that direction. Mm-hmm. And we're in week 11. We're going. We need to move on from Justice Hill now.
This is sick too, but like I think it's still clouding my judgment on Justice Hill, thinking about what he did week 1 of the 2024 season, Casey. Where
isn't it funny how that happens?
It's funny if you're not dealing with it, but it's sick when you're like when I'm I think about like what he did and how much I spent on him to get him in redraft leagues. But yeah, I think I'm kind of out on him. Yeah, he's the pass catcher, but does that role change much if Henry goes down? I don't know if it does, but I know it does with Keaton Mitchell, which is why at this point in the season, we got 2 weeks of buys yet in front of us. If you count this week, we got 3 weeks of buys in front of us, although there's only 2 teams on bye this week. I think we have to look at it from the standpoint of like what helps your team, not what helps your team the most, what helps your team win a championship the most. Like you have to really be considering ceiling rather than floor with a lot of your bench right now. And that's the difficult thing because we spent all draft season, the first 2.5 months of the season, building up this depth, building up players that can start in a pinch because of injuries or buys. And now we have to radically change that for the last month and a half, 2 months of the season, where it's just like, look, if you don't have 25-point upside, 30-point upside, I don't want to be in business with you. And that's a tough thing to kind of wrap our heads around, but I think it's the right way to handle your fantasy teams.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm all about getting rid of your roster cloggers. I'm very, I got to make sure that this roster that I've got I can correct my roster. You know what I mean? Like if I made mistakes on draft day or whatever, like you can, and week 11, we're getting close to the playoffs, and now's that chance to like get rid of those guys that are just taking up space.
Yeah. Dump those receivers, the Shamir DKs, the Alec Iamanners of the world, and then go with guys like Keaton Mitchell. Go with guys like Emeka. Yeah. Who? I'm sorry. Who?
Oh, I was just saying, take a shot on these guys. Like,
exactly.
It's not. What's the worst that can happen? You already have guys on your bench that you're not using. So
The thing we have to understand too is Shamir DK, Elikai Manor, not that I'm singling out the Titans here, but like these wide receiver 6s, wide receiver 7s, they're not winning you your league.
No.
These running backs, like Brian Robinson is a perfect example. Think if McCaffrey goes down, and how valuable Brian Robinson could be. It's one of these things like, and I don't know if you feel this way. I never root for injuries, Casey. But when you carry these injury away type guys on your roster all season long, and there's nothing to show for it until week 14, week 15, whatever rolls around, and then that starting running back finally goes down, and you're like, this is the reason I kept this guy on my roster all this time. It's a great feeling. It's a fantastic feeling. Okay.
Yeah.
We got through a lot here in this first segment. We're 20 minutes from kickoff from the Thursday night game. And I want to get into Patriots-Jets conversations with you here. If there's time, I want to bring it back. We'll talk about Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Romeo Doubs, so on and so forth. But what I want to tell everybody right now is the FFPC Weekly Challenge is live. If you want to get in to the Thursday night Weekly Challenge, you have about 18-plus minutes to do so before lineups lock. It's a fun weekly contest. There's no draft. There's no salary cap. You're just picking 10 players to formulate your lineup. If you want to play with kickers and defenses, yes, you will play with 12 players. Win up to $2,500, only one player per team. So if you want Lamar Jackson, you cannot have Zay Flowers. If you want Jamar Chase, you cannot have Chase Brown. 10, 30, 100-team contest, one player per NFL team. Register now, myffpc.com. She is one Kacey Kasem from RotoBaller, Optimus Fantasy, and of course the Get Real podcast, co-hosting with me tonight as we get into a little Thursday night preview for Fantasy Football Night in America. Let's talk Trevion Henderson. Let's talk Adonai Mitchell. Let's talk about Mason Taylor, Hunter Henry, and so much more. Our Thursday night preview here on FFPC Insider Access rolls on right after this live on the Better Sports Network.
Folks, let me talk to you about my favorite weekly platform to play on. We all play Dynasty and we all play Redraft, but we got to find some place to play weekly. And the FFPC Weekly Challenge is my favorite. If you're like me and you're tired of the constraints of salary caps or having to do a draft to make a team, or even having to play against these people that are stacking up the same team, stacking up certain games, and you feel like you have to put in 1 million entries or have to have those certain stacks to win, then come play over at FFPC. Really, the only main rule that you have to deal with is that you cannot select multiple players from the same team. I'm going out and I'm trying to find the best of the best of the best players and put them into a lineup. And that's what you can do over at MyFFPC. You can go out and you can take the number one running back in Bijan Robinson, and you can also have Saquon Barkley. As long as they're not in the same team, you can put them all into a lineup, right? And there's 4 flexes for this, so there's a lot of flexibility. There's 2 different contests, one that has kickers and defenses, one that's just position players. Then you also have a bunch of different price points you can play at, $35, $100, or $200 buy-in, and you're going out and you're just picking the absolute chalk plays, maybe sneaking in a little bit of a sleeper there, somebody that you think can really blow up that week, and that's how it works. It's one of the best contests out there for the sharpest gamers, and when you win on the FFPC, people take notice. That is where the best high-stakes games are. That's where the best experts play, and that's where I play because I want to be an FFPC champion and put that title on me, put the money in my pocket, and put that in my bio, FFPC champion. And the FFPC weekly contest is the best place to play during the season.
The high-stakes fantasy football show, a.k.a. FFPC Insider Access, rolls on here live on the Better Sports Network. My name is Eric Balkman. She is Kacey Kasem from RotoBaller, and, of course, the Get Real podcast and Optimus Fantasy, Sunday Dreamers. My God, if there is anybody who has more skin in the game in fantasy football, show me that person, because I don't think anybody does besides Kacey Kasem here tonight. Now, you posted a very interesting piece about, this was a while back. Maybe it wasn't quite a while back, about quitting your job and sort of your, like how that has, how that decision has changed your life. I want you to elaborate a little bit on this because you are an interesting case in the fantasy football industry, Kacey.
Yeah, I'm an interesting case of what anxiety and stress looks like. Now, I quit. I worked in an office for a really long time. didn't have any windows, it was fine, but I wasn't doing anything with my brain. I wasn't actually doing anything. It was data entry, right? Whatever. So my wife and I decided, go chase your dreams and figure out what you want to do with your life. I honestly, I'm trying to find the exact lane I want to be in. I have so many ideas. Obviously, I'm all over the place doing all kinds of stuff. And so I'm trying to like hone it in. And so this journey has like opened my eyes to like what I'm good at and what I'm not good at and what I need to focus more on. And so I'm like learning, like I have these skills. I need to figure out exactly where to use these skills, right? Sometimes you're not doing the right things. And so it's been a journey. It's been about a year and a half or so. And yeah, some days we're awesome. Some days I'm just like, you know what? Tomorrow will be better.
Well, and that's true of a lot of us, like I just, it's one of those things where like, as far as anxiety goes and mental health goes, it's one of these things, like, I don't know if you feel this way, maybe you do. And I don't want to turn this into a whole thing here, but I might. I didn't read, you always just think that that's stuff that other people have, but you can figure it out yourself. Like you're strong enough to figure it out yourself. And then you kind of realize, hey, you know what? I'm not strong enough to be. And so once you realize that, I think it changes the way you look at things in life. And the other thing too, that I think is good for you and you have a luxury that a lot of people don't have is you went out and actually made this decision where you found out like, what's the line from Friends where you have the fear, right? Where you don't have that job, you don't have that like that cushy trampoline to fall back on,
right?
And you found out for yourself firsthand what you're good at, what you're not good at, and you're still working through how to apply that, how not to apply that, which I think is something a lot of people either don't do, can't do, or just outright choose not to do, and that's no way to live. And I think you're living the right way, where you're being active to try to figure out what is my purpose in life? How do I contribute not only to society, but selfishly, as long as we're doing this podcast, how do I contribute best to the fantasy football industry?
Yeah.
Doing that, which I applaud you for it, because it's something that a lot of people don't take the plunge in doing, and you're doing it, you're living it.
I have to give all the props to my wife, but like, because seriously, I couldn't have done this on my own. It's so nice to have that support system. She thought that when I quit my job, we'd be traveling a lot more. So hopefully that'll start up soon, because I would love to be able to do that. So, but yeah, finding like Get Real. You've been on Get Real with me. I hear everybody's stories, and we're all kind of in the same boat in a lot of what we go through every day, and finding things out. And it's not always easy, but it's a journey, and it's getting to be pretty fun finding out, oh wow, I can actually do that, I'm good at that, or oh, maybe I need to like step back a little bit. You're not as good at that as you thought you were. So
right, yeah, no, and this is good life advice. I mean, I know it's a fantasy football show, we're giving fantasy football advice, but that's good life advice, is knowing where you're strong, knowing where you need to be better, which is kind of true with your teams, right? Like you need to know what makes your team really good, and you need to know what is going to make your team better. I want to get into a couple of starter sets before we get into our final Thursday night preview tonight, game kicking off in 12 minutes. Mako Liscage, I don't know, on Twitch. Hi there, starter set question, Stephon Diggs or Trey Tucker? I'm rolling with Stephon Diggs over Trey Tucker this week, Casey.
I am as well.
All right, perfect. K. Waukee 14. Who should I start between Zay Flowers or AJ Brown? As you pointed out earlier, Zay Flowers did not go on Instagram to tell people not to play him in fantasy, but AJ Brown did. That said, I'm still playing AJ Brown over Zay Flowers. That dude is allergic to the end zone, and maybe it's because he's a smaller wide receiver, but this is a guy that's really struggled to score touchdowns over the course of his career, and never a bigger drought has there been for Zay Flowers than the 2025 season. So I'm still playing AJ Brown here, unless you feel differently.
No, I'm still playing AJ Brown here. Not the happiest about having to do it, but I am over Zay Flowers. Yes.
All right, let's get into Thursday night football. Justin Fields, as far as I can tell, I got the Prime Video going on right now. I have not seen anything definitive. I'm assuming Justin Fields is starting tonight. The problem with, well, not the problem, but let's talk about dynasty. Let's talk about redraft. Is Justin Fields, after we saw what we saw last week, take away that 42-yard screen pass to Breece Hall. Dude had like 40 total yards from the quarterback position, passing and rushing combined. Is he even worth a dynasty investment? Would you give up a future draft pick any round at Justin Fields right now? Or is this guy best belong on waiver wires, Casey?
Man, I mean, I might give up late round pick for him, maybe, possibly, depending on how I'm set up.
Do you believe he's with the Jets next year?
No. As it took me a second to say that. I'm sitting here right now thinking I have him in one of my dynasty leagues, and now I'm like, what am I going to do with him? Because, like, what am I going to do with him? Really?
Here's my thing. Here's my thing on Fields. And I don't know, my level of confidence in this is not huge, but I will say that I'm of the opinion that Fields is not with the Jets next year. And I don't believe he's a starter next year, but I do believe he's a backup for some team with a mobile quarterback, whoever that might be.
That makes sense.
Just where you don't have to revolutionize your game plan if your starting quarterback gets hurt, and you could plug Fields in at what I think is going to be a nominal cost. I would not invest in him in dynasty. I'm clinging on to him in certain redraft leagues because there ain't nothing out there in those leagues,
Right.
But I have no expectations for Justin Fields right now. Tom Smith chiming in on YouTube. Justin Fields has already thrown an interception. The game hasn't started for another 9 minutes. Fields already has a pick tonight. Pretty crazy to think, and yet totally believable. Totally. Bill Hollywood, I'd rather have Jameis Winston. Jimmy Williams. Fields does not belong on rosters anymore. Listen, I there's a lot of stuff here, and I'm finding it hard to formulate an argument against a lot of this stuff here.
Right.
Staying in the Jets backfield, Breece Hall has been a player that we are, I wouldn't say excited to start. There's one league where I'm kicking myself because I can only start 3 running backs, and I got 3 really good running backs in that league, and Breece Hall is on my bench again in that league. But as bad as this Jets offense is, Casey, I still think that there is something to like about Breece Hall this year and playing out the string. There's some goodness there. Maybe not RB1 goodness, but goodness that's going to help you maybe win a championship. Yeah,
you're still starting him. You're still feeling confident in that. I mean, he is the best player on that offense when it comes to your fantasy teams. So, like,
and especially with Garrett Wilson out the next 4 weeks.
With Garrett Wilson out, with him out, that, I mean, you've got to feel confident starting him. It's the Jets, but it's Breece Hall.
It is Breece Hall for sure. Where would you like to see him go? Is it Kansas City? Like, where's your dream destination for Breece Hall for fantasy?
Ooh, Kansas City would be nice. I really haven't sat down and thought about that, but now that you say that, I think that would be.
I don't know the contract situation with Javonte Williams, but Dallas.
I mean, I would love that. That would be delightful. I would not say no to that. Here you owe us. So
yeah, exactly. And I know you're a Cowboys girl for sure. And that would make a lot of sense in the offseason if they did acquire him. We mentioned Garrett Wilson. He's out tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be back to, God, what would this be? Week 15 is the earliest he can come back now. A.D. Mitchell, we found out, who came over in the Sauce Gardner trade from Indianapolis. We found out he's going to be active tonight. Couldn't acclimate quick enough to the Jets offense after the trade, but he is there now. This is a really bad collection of wide receivers and pass catchers. We'll get to Mason Taylor in a second, but as far as wide receivers go, you have guys like Adonai Mitchell, God, who I'm blanking on this is how bad they are. I can't even think of who they are right now. Tim Patrick's not on that team, is he? Who am I thinking of? There's some old veteran.
There is, because I was looking at it earlier but now I'm getting them all confused for every other.
All right, so here's Isaiah Williams, Alan Lazard.
Okay.
John Mechie, who they acquired in a trade. Arian Smith, the rookie 3rd rounder. Tyler Johnson. At the risk of I want to move on from this as soon as possible because I think people are clicking us off right now because we're talking Jets wide receivers, not game Garrett Wilson. Is there anything here tonight? FFPC weekly challenge, weekly fantasy contest. Is there anything here with Jets wide receivers?
No, I'm going to pass on all of those guys.
They all suck, and they all have Justin Fields throwing to them.
Yeah, so it's not ideal.
No, it's the opposite of ideal. It's unideal, unideal, whatever it is. So that said, Casey, is tonight a Mason Taylor night? Because we have seen Mason Taylor do numbers. We have seen Mason Taylor have at least somewhat of a relationship, an on-field relationship with Justin Fields. They got to throw to somebody. Garrett Wilson's off the table. Now, we did say they had to throw somebody last week, and they didn't. Fields did not. It was like less than 60 yards passing. So if you do play Mason Taylor tonight, based on the whole, he's going to collect catches and yards because an NFL team has to throw to somebody, you are running the risk of having like a 2 for 13 type night for Mason Taylor.
Yeah, this NFL team does not have to throw to anybody. They don't have to throw it. They can Brees Hall, hello. So, yeah, I'm not seeing it. I would temper my expectations hardcore for Mason Taylor night being a thing.
Going back out to YouTube, Bill Hollywood says Tyler Johnson is his favorite Jets receiver tonight, but I don't know if that's different than saying your favorite Chiefs receiver or your favorite Rams receiver or something. It's totally different. So I get it. Let's see. Jimmy Williams saying Brees Hall and Mason Taylor lead in receptions tonight. I get that. Mr. Bakesalot wants to know, full PPR, I'm assuming non-tight end premium, or maybe I should assume tight end premium here. Casey, who would you rather start, Mason Taylor or Emeka Demercado against the 49ers on Sunday? This is interesting. This is a tough one.
It is. I know I was just talking all that smack and saying, no, I wouldn't start Mason Taylor, but I might just start Mason Taylor, just hoping that the Brees Hall isn't the main attraction for the whole entire time. Like, let him have a little bit. So just because that Demercado, I just don't want to touch that situation right now.
I will say this, like as ugly as the Cardinals backfield and Cardinals offense is right now, I think the Jets is uglier. I could regret this, but I would play Demercado over Mason Taylor this week, even in tight end premium. And again, Sean marked the tape on that. You can put it on X and embarrass me when I find out I'm wrong on that, but that's the way I'd play it for sure. Okay, now we got a couple of minutes before kickoff. Let's get into the Patriots side of the equation. I want to save Drake Maye here. Let's lead off with Trevion Henderson. Has he officially been launched? I'm going to couch this by saying this. I was driving my kid, my 12-year-old son that I co-own this fantasy football team with. We have Trevion Henderson on that team. And we're listening to Sirius XM radio on the way to his basketball practice. And we found out that Trevion Henderson, this is after he busted his second big long touchdown run. And he told me, because he's following it on his app or whatever. And he's like, oh, Dad, Trevion Henderson just had a 69-yard touchdown or whatever it was. I'm like, okay, he's been unleashed. The cat is out of the bag. The toothpaste is out of the tube. The Patriots know it. The American people know it. We all know it, that Trevion Henderson is a stud. That said, I'm still nervous because of Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, even though Ramondre Stevenson is out tonight, even though Terrell Jennings is sort of an afterthought on this offense. Has he officially been launched? How much confidence, Casey, are you starting Trevion Henderson with in your leagues in Week 11?
I'm pretty confident. Now, granted, I don't have Trevion Henderson anywhere, and that really hurts my heart, but I am very confident.
Well, you know what? It didn't hurt your heart for the first 10 weeks of the season.
That's true. So I was all happy. I was very happy about that. No, I think it is time for us to say, yes, he's been launched.
I'm hopeful you're right. My concern, and until Ramondre Stevenson comes back and has a healthy 3 carries for 10 yards, 1 catch for 0 yards game, I'm still going to have this nagging, thing in the back of my head that Henderson it's not going to happen for him in 2025. But I think I'm with you for the most part. I think that he is good to go. You can start him with confidence. but it's a weekly game, and I reserve the right to change my mind based on what we're about to see on Thursday Night Football tonight. All right. One other question here with wide receivers. No Kayshon Boutte tonight. We know we already talked about Stefon Diggs. We like him as a start tonight. But as far as a flex goes, in PPR leagues, would you be going with Demario Douglas, or would you be going with Mac Hollins if you had to pick from one of those two receivers for New England tonight as a supplementary wide receiver piece to Stefon Diggs?
Probably Douglas on that one.
Why is it Douglas over Hollins? Because Hollins is coming off a big week.
I know Hollins is coming off a big week, and honestly, I am starting Hollins in some of my leagues, but I don't know. I just feel more comfortable with what Douglas is going to get me. Like,
I remember at the start of the year, there was, I don't know if it was Mike Reese or not. It was some Patriots beat writer, for 2 weeks straight in preseason, kept writing up Demario Douglas. This is how this offense goes. And somehow that stuck in my mind. And I just feel like I've cut him and I've reacquired him. And I've cut him and reacquired, kind of like the thing I did with Kayshon Boutte. And then you get this guy, Mac Hollins, and I think he gets kind of a bad rap because he's bounced around the NFL. And if he's really that good, why don't people keep him around? But yet he's been in Buffalo, he's been in Las Vegas and all these different spots or whatever. And so there's that stigma as well. But Pop Douglas is the younger guy. Pop Douglas wears shoes. Mac Hollins is one of these crazies that doesn't, which is fine. Like I'm all for the crazies.
I'm not wearing shoes.
Yeah, whatever. Like that's cool, I get it. But when it comes down to it, I don't have a strong feeling on this. You said Douglas, but you also said you have Hollins going in a couple leagues.
I do. I
have Hollins going in like 3 or 4 leagues, but I'll tell you this, Casey, I have Douglas going in a league tonight too. And I don't feel great about either one of these guys.
I don't really either, but I'm hoping for, that comfortable few point floor that you're going to get.
Give me the floor, baby.
Give me the floor, baby.
Give me that floor. We're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to get to before kickoff tonight, Hunter Henry, tight end premium leagues. Is he a must flex for you?
Yes. Now, last week, maybe he didn't see as many targets, but I mean, he's seeing the targets. So I think he is a must flex.
I have Tyler Warren on bye in several leagues, and I feel really comfy cozy being able to trot Hunter Henry out there at tight end this week. I feel good about what they're going to accomplish tonight. We are about to kick off on Thursday Night Football here on Amazon Prime. Casey and I will give you updates on what's going on in that game tonight as we celebrate Fantasy Football Night in America for the remainder 42 minutes of this show tonight. The Patriots have kicked off. The Jets are going to receive it. It's Kenny Ngwangu who is going to return the ball to the 29-yard line. It is going to be 1st and 10 for the Jets from there. On first down, they end up going with a short pass to Mason Taylor for 6 yards. So good to get early, as we see Mason Taylor getting involved. 2nd and 4, 14:55 to go in the first quarter. Breece Hall goes off tackle for 3 yards, and now it is 3rd and 1 from the Jets' 37. I saved this because I think regardless of what we said about Drake Maye prior to the game kicking off or even after the game kicking off, it's going to be the same as far as what you do with him in Week 11. Why did we let him slip so far?
I don't know,
Casey. This is a guy that is the quarterback on an 8-2 team. DraftKings.com has him as the MVP favorite right now. I let him go in way too many drafts. I think I drafted him in like 2 leagues out of like 40, maybe 3 leagues out of like 40. And I feel sick about it. What did we miss so we can not screw this up next year?
I don't know what we missed. This is so yes, maybe we're screwed up again next year, but I underdrafted him. Most of us did. Mm-hmm. Even today, I told you, I was talking to Nate. We didn't even realize he was where he is in fantasy rank, where he sits. Yeah. We're like, oh yeah, he's like quarterback 4 or something. Nah. So I don't know. We should have seen it, right?
I mean, we should have, but it's all about a reevaluation, right? Like we're always trying to get better every year, and there's always going to be instances where we screw up and we let players fall. More so. In fact, I'm going to bring this up right now. Shout out to Darren Armani, who is the godfather of the FFPC Pros versus Joe's Challenge. He runs the website fantasymojo.com, which has a lot of great stuff on there as far as waiver wire bids, as far as lineup ownership percentages, starting percentages, so on and so forth. What I'm going to go back into is the FFPC main event ADP, where people are ponying up $2,000 plus to participate in this to try to go for $1 million. I can tell you that when the drafting season ended prior to week 1, Drake Maye went off and get the vomit bag out, because you and I are both going to throw up when we hear this. Drake Maye was quarterback 12. 11 quarterbacks on average were drafted in front of him this year in the FFPC main event. He went on average at the 1207 behind the likes of Kyler Murray, Bo Nix, Joe Burrow, which I guess we can't get upset about Joe Burrow because he would have been great if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. But if we look at who else, these other players that were going around Drake Maye in drafts, Ray Davis, Jerome Ford, Brenton Strange, Jaden Reed, Jaden Blue, Luther Burden, Dylan Sampson, Marvin Mims, all those guys, Nick Chubb, Darnell Mooney, they were all going in front of Drake Maye, which is sick to think about.
Wow.
It's all a learning experience, Casey.
It is. It's a learning experience.
Like all we can do is learn from this and understand, and I'm sure like you and I are both going to spend time in the off season trying to piece this together and figure out how we got this wrong, because in order for us to be successful fantasy players, we cannot get this wrong again.
We cannot get it wrong again. And so, it is going to be one of those things to stand on, because that is just that value, man. If you drafted him as that, you have to be so excited with yourself right now.
You're starting him every week.
Oh yeah.
Which is great, because chances are if you drafted Drake Maye in the 12th round, you ended up waiting on a quarterback where you probably didn't draft your first one until the 9th round or the 10th round. And whoever that was, you're probably playing him behind Drake Maye at this point.
Yep.
Getting back to the game tonight, I mentioned the Breece Hall 3-yard run. They pick up an 11-yard run from Breece Hall on 3rd and 1. Justin Fields gets a rush for 6 yards. No gain from Justin Fields on the following play. But then on 3rd and 4, he gets a 14-yard run. Justin Fields with a 3-yard run, and then Breece Hall with a 2-yard run. So if you're paying attention at home, that's 4 carries for 23 yards already for Justin Fields. 10-12 to go in the first quarter. The Jets are facing a 3rd and 5 from the New England 27. If they don't get this, they're already in field goal range for one Andy Borregales. We'll see what happens there. We'll keep you updated. A couple of things that we didn't get to early on, and I want to get to right now, Casey. Isiah Pacheco did not practice Wednesday. How confident do you feel about starting Kareem Hunt against the Broncos on Sunday, given that it seems like Pacheco is not going to be playing in this game?
I'm not super confident. I'm still going to do it if I have to. I don't know. Those guys. I'm comfortable-ish. Can we put the little asterisks? Can we put the little asterisks at the top and just be like, I mean, you're probably starting him if you're in that position.
There's one nobody cares about your fantasy league, but there's one league that I need to win to get into the playoffs this week, and I'm playing Kareem Hunt there, and I feel pretty good about it. I'm more than comfy-ish. I'm like uber comfy-ish.
Oh, you're uber comfy.
I'm uber comfy-ish, but at the same time, I recognize the possibility, because it's all about range of outcomes, right? It's never about an outcome. It's about range of outcomes. And I understand there's a very real possibility that Kareem Hunt puts up a 12 for 23 and 1 catch for 4 yards and no touchdown game, and that'll be really ticked off. So it is what it is. Yeah. All right. Isaiah Davis, 7 yards on 3rd and 5. He picks up the first down. The clock keeps winding here in the first quarter with the Jets driving. It's another Isaiah Davis carry for 3 yards, 2nd and 7 from the New England 17, 8:20 to go in the first quarter. Hard to believe we're almost halfway through the first quarter, but when you are running the ball literally every single play, that's what happens on Thursday.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Calvin Ridley here. Limited in practice yesterday. He was limited again today. I got to believe he is not going to be playing this week, Kacey. If that's the case, knowing that the Titans are going to have to throw this week, 6-point dogs at home to the Houston Texans, are you a believer in Alec Ayamaner? Are you a believer in Shamir DK? Or are these two, at best, desperation plays for a team that has only won one game so far this season?
That's desperation play city right there. Those are names that you've brought up a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna touch that right now.
Chris Godwin was limited in practice today as well. Now, Chris Godwin is a guy that I drafted early. Kacey, I don't know how you handled Chris Godwin this year, but I drafted early, and then when it seemed like, then they take, Egbuka in the draft, even after they give Chris Godwin this big payday, I'm kind of like, I'm not getting the warm fuzzies on this guy anymore. Plays a couple of games this year, leaves with an injury, has not been seen since, but I can tell you that both he and Bucky Irving were limited in today's practice, which is good. Now, I don't think he comes back this week, but at the same time, if you were thinking about cutting Godwin, I think you got to kind of keep him around, especially in the leagues like the FFPC, the KFFSC, where if you cut him, you cannot reacquire him. Right. Nobody can reacquire him. I feel like he's probably worth keeping around just in case, especially if your team's if they're loaded for bear and you have all these playmakers on your team, to be able to trot out a healthy Chris Godwin in week 14, 15, 16. That's going to feel pretty good. So I am trying to keep him around in as many leagues as I can at this point, based on him returning to practice this week.
Yeah, I do know if you drop him, somebody's like in a regular league. If you drop him, somebody's going to immediately pick him up. So if you might as well just hold on to him. Now, I have been telling people, like, if you need to drop somebody, and that is the option that you're given, you don't have anybody else that you really feel like you can drop, then I go that route. But like in leagues where, like these high stakes guys, where you don't want to do that.
No, you don't. And I think too, what we've seen with Baker Mayfield and what he's been able to do, I want as many pass catchers, as many skill position guys on that offense as possible, because that dude is an absolute football magician.
Yes.
Going back to the game here tonight, we saw after Isaiah Davis gets a 7-yard carry, first down, he gets 4 yards. Then we see a trick play that was incomplete to Justin Fields. Justin Fields then hits Keaton Mitchell down to the New England 6 for 10 yards. So it's and that was on 3rd and 6. It is 1st and goal. Breece Hall gets 1 yard down to the 5, and now we're at 2nd and goal from the New England 5. 7:35 to go in the first quarter, with the Jets literally knocking on the door, trying to get into the end zone here. We'll tell you what happens there shortly. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur said Romeo Doubs, quote, should be good to go in week 11 against the New York Giants. I bring this up for a couple of reasons, Kacey. Number one, there's going to be a lot of people thinking that this is going to be a good week to start Packers because of who they're going against.
Yeah.
Number two, the Packers are down Tucker Kraft in this offense. They still don't have Jaden Reed. Romeo Doubs has never been more important to this offense than he is right now. It sounds like he's going to play. But how do you feel about starting a guy like Doubs against the Giants, who have been so epically bad against the run, and the Packers, who so epically want to run the football as much as they can? I feel like Romeo Doubs might be a little bit of fool's gold at the flex in week 11, because I think Green Bay is just going to run it with Jacobs, Wilson, so on and so forth. I don't know how strong of a start Romeo Doubs is.
Yeah, I think I can see it like that too. Even if it's going to be all run, he does have those games, those spike weeks where you're like, whoa, that's a Romeo Doubs game. This fool's gold might look like this could be that game where he's going to have, like, this is the game to start him. But is it? No, I wouldn't feel comfortable starting him this week unless I really had to.
Yeah, if I have to, I'll roll with him.
Yeah.
If there's one Packers receiver pass catcher I trust, it's probably Doubs over Musgrave, who is assuming that, at least a shell of the Tucker Kraft role or whatever. I don't want to play him this week. And quite frankly, that's been my message to everybody all season. Don't start Packers pass catchers. I was wrong about Tucker Kraft. I've been right about everybody else on that so far. We have a touchdown here in Foxborough. It is Justin Fields running a 5-yard touchdown in because, of course,
he heard us talking.
Yes, the Nick Folk extra point is good. 6:56 to go in the first quarter. After an 8-minute, 4-second drive, the Jets have taken a 7-0 lead on the New England Patriots. Let me reiterate, the 2-7 New York Jets lead the 8-2 New England Patriots, 7-0 here. Fields already 5 carries for 28 yards. He's 2 for 2 passing for 16 yards. Keaton Mitchell, 1 catch for 10 yards. So, as I regret not starting Justin Fields in all these leagues, I still have him in. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Texans as Davis Mills is going to get the start. We found out CJ Stroud still in concussion protocol. It's the Titans. So you would think about what Davis Mills did in the fourth quarter alone against the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Think about what he can do the Titans over 4 quarters. Your thoughts here? Is there anybody you're zeroing in on, Casey, for the Texans this week, be it Woody Marks? We talked about Dalton Schultz earlier. Obviously, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Nico Collins. Is there anybody here besides, I guess, Collins, we're playing no matter what, but some of these other guys with Davis Mills in charge, do you change the way that you would handle these guys had CJ Stroud been the thrower of the football in Nashville in week 11?
I mean, I might like some of these guys better. Sure. Woody Marks, I do like him this week. Dalton Schultz, if he is good to go, I would start him. I'm really, really about Dalton Schultz right now. Happy that I, can finally start using him. Those are guys that I really want to focus on.
Getting back to real quick, Jimmy Williams' question here. He says he's sitting Romeo Doubs for Michael Wilson in one league. What do you say? As much as I just said I don't trust Romeo Doubs, I don't trust Michael Wilson, even with Jacoby Brissett. So I'm sitting Michael Wilson this week. If I have Doubs, I'm playing him over Michael Wilson. Casey, you feel the same way?
I do. Yeah, I do. And at least Doubs, he does have those spike weeks every now and then, but I do feel just a tad more comfortable starting Doubs. Yep.
And Jimmy's a Bears fan, so he does not like the Packers. You got to grit your teeth for Doubs here.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Listen, Jimmy, if you are forced to start Romeo Doubs there, but you don't want to play a Packer, join the FFPC Weekly Challenge, where there's no draft, no salary cap, just pick 10 players. Now, you're a Bears guy. I get it. So if you want Caleb Williams, you can't play Cole Kmet or Colston Loveland or DJ Moore or Romeo Doubs or any of those guys, but you can play one Bear, and you can win up to $2,500, pick 10 or 12 players. No salary cap in this as well, no draft. You can play with or without kickers or defenses, 1 player per NFL team. Register now at myffpc.com. We are about to get underway after the Jets touchdown. Drake Maye is coming on the field. We'll see what he can do. The leading contender for the NFL MVP. We'll see what he has up his sleeve as we roll on Fantasy Football Night in America live on the Better Sports Network. You are watching FFPC Insider Access. I am Eric Balkman. She is Kacey Kasem from RotoBaller, the Get Real Podcast, and of course, Optimus Fantasy, Sunday Dreamers as well. Don't go anywhere. We roll on for the remainder of the show. Last 26 minutes, fast, furious, and fun coming up right after this.
Folks, let me talk to you about my favorite weekly platform to play on. We all play Dynasty and we all play Redraft, but we got to find some place to play weekly. And the FFPC Weekly Challenge is my favorite. If you're like me and you're tired of the constraints of salary caps or having to do a draft to make a team, or even having to play against these people that are stacking up the same team, stacking up certain games, and you feel like you have to put in 1 million entries or have to have those certain stacks to win, then come play over at FFPC. Really, the only main rule that you have to deal with is that you cannot select multiple players from the same team. I'm going out and I'm trying to find the best of the best of the best players and put them into a lineup. And that's what you can do over at myffpc. You can go out and you can take the number 1 running back in Bijan Robinson, and you can also have Saquon Barkley. As long as they're not in the same team, you can put them all into a lineup. Right. And there's 4 flexes for this. So there's a lot of flexibility. There's 2 different contests, one that has kickers and defenses, one that's just position players. Then you also have a bunch of different price points you can play at: $35, $100, or $200 buy-in. And you're going out and you're just picking the absolute chalk plays, maybe sneaking in a little bit of a sleeper there, somebody that you think can really blow up that week. And that's how it works. It's one of the best contests out there for the sharpest gamers. And when you win on the FFPC, people take notice. That is where the best high stakes games are. That's where the best experts play. And that's where I play, because I want to be an FFPC champion and put that title on me, put the money in my pocket, and put that in my bio. FFPC champion. And the FFPC weekly contest is the best place to play during the season.
25 minutes left until the top of the hour. You are watching FFPC Insider Access live on the Better Sports Network tonight. My name is Eric Balkman, at Eric Balkman on the X. She is Kacey Kasem, at the Kacey Kasem on X. You know her from Sunday Dreamers. Of course, the Get Real podcast at Get Real _pod, RotoBaller, Optimus Fantasy. She does it all. And she's doing it all tonight as we are celebrating Fantasy Football Night in America. Interesting drive here, Kacey, as we get a catch for no gain for Hunter Henry, an 8-yard catch for Stephon Diggs, and then a 15-yard penalty on Jeremy Brownlee for suplexing Stephon Diggs into the ground. And then the epitome of Trevion Henderson, a 7-yard gain, a 2-yard loss, followed by a 3-yard catch for Stephon Diggs. Here it is now 4th and 2 from their own 38. I beg your pardon, from the Jets 38. Is that accurate? No, it's got to be from their own 38. Yeah, it's from their own 38. I apologize. As we cover this going forward, 3:47 to go in the first quarter. Let's get into some starter sits and help some people out tonight here. I want to kick things off with a running back question, and we'll do a few running back questions here. Who would you rather play this week? Aaron Jones for the Minnesota Vikings, who is taking on, I believe, I just had this up and I don't have it up anymore. My apologies.
Chicago?
Yeah, it's Chicago at home. Aaron Jones is at home against Chicago, and then Kimani Vidal is in Jacksonville. Who would you rather play, Jones or Vidal? A lot to unpack here.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Boy, oh boy. I think I would go Aaron Jones versus Chicago on that one. I know he's been limited, but I think that's the guy that I'm going with against that Chicago defense in the run game, you know.
I lean towards Jones as well. The question I have with Jones this week, not so much, I know he's dealing with a shoulder injury and a toe injury. I think he's going to be fine there.
Yeah.
My concern is Jordan Mason coming in inside the 10, inside the 5. And maybe that's just what it is. Like you
just have to.
He could still score, as involved as he is in the passing game. Like I love the pass catchers. When it comes to running backs, I always break ties in favor of the pass catchers. Kimani Vidal, I get it. Like, listen, he could easily have a better week, but the track record, the pass catching ability that Aaron Jones has shown, to me, at least in the past, I like that a little bit better. I'm with you. I think it's Jones over Vidal. Now, let's talk about the Seahawks. Let's talk about the Texans. We have Zach Charbonnet next up in this little exercise that we're doing. Would you rather play Zach Charbonnet this week, Kacey Kasem from RotoBaller, against the Rams on the road, or is the correct play actually one Woody Marks, who is at Tennessee? So both these teams are on the road. Marks has a little bit better of a matchup, but again, Charbonnet getting those carries inside the 5.
I know he is. I'm still going to lean Marks on this one, though. I brought him up earlier when you were talking about Houston, who I was interested in. And I mean, sorry to Nick Chubb, but it looks like it's Woody Marks' game.
You know what's wild about this, Kacey, is even when they so the Texans were losing most of that game. Like the Jaguars got up big time and Houston had to do whatever they could to claw back into that game. Even when they got it close, and even when they were inside the 10, inside the 5, this is normally Nick Chubb territory. Woody Marks was out there.
Yeah.
So he was getting everything, right? He was getting the 3rd and longs. He was getting the 2-minute stuff. He was getting the in between the 20s. Like he was getting everything. And I think that's what makes us feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy about Woody Marks.
Yes.
Certainly more than Zach Charbonnet. So I'm with you on that. Getting back to the game, it was a 4th and 2 that the Patriots went for. Drake Maye connects with Demario Douglas for a 7-yard gain. And then it was Trevion Henderson for 3 yards. Drake Maye gets a 4-yard carry on a scramble. And then on 3rd and 3, they convert with a catch to Stephon Diggs for 5 yards, following it up with Trevion Henderson with another carry and another 9-yard gain. He gets stuffed on 2nd and 1. So we are looking at 3rd and 1 as they have reached the end of the first quarter in Foxborough. It is the Jets 7, the Patriots 0. However, the Patriots have the ball in territory, 3rd and 1 from their 10. As we move forward into the second quarter here in a little bit. They've gone to break on Prime. We are not breaking here on the the FFPC Insider Access show on the Better Sports Network. Trevion Henderson now up to 5 carries for 17 yards. Stephon Diggs with 3 catches for 16 yards. Getting back to the running back conversation, it is Tyjae versus Tyrone. Who would you rather play this week, Kacey Kasem? Would you rather go with Tyjae Spears at home against the Houston Texans, or is the proper play actually one Tyrone Tracy, who is also going to be at home against that Green Bay Packers rush defense, knowing that he has to contend with one Devin Singletary as well?
Yeah, that's the yeah. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Tyrone Tracy on this, and just with a hope and a wish and a prayer and all that jazz.
I think that it's hard for me to get out of my mind. And I know it's not Brian Daboll anymore. It's Mike Kafka. And we don't know how he feels about personnel that was there last year that's also there this year. But I can't help getting I can't get it out of my mind about how good Tyrone Tracy was down the stretch for the Giants last year. In a situation where he didn't have Cam Skattebo in 2024, and now, unfortunately, because of an injury, he still doesn't have Cam Skattebo down the stretch in 2025. So I think there's something to be said for that. I think the Packers' rush defense, I don't want to use the word overrated, but I think that's what they might be. And I think that even if Tyrone Tracy is not rushing for 80 or 90 or even 100 yards against the Packers, I do think that he is going to contribute in the passing game as well. Now, in Tyjae Spears' defense, I will say that there should be a negative game script here, even though they're at home against the Texans. And Tyjae Spears is out there when they're down, when they need to make up ground, when they need to score fast, chew up yardage fast. He's out there over Tony Pollard. So I understand that there's reason to believe that Spears is actually the play. For whatever reason, maybe it's a gut call on my part. I do think that I'm with you on this, and I'm going to agree with you. Tracy over Spears this week. Somewhat close, but I feel like this is going to be a good Tyrone Tracy week. Jimmy Williams chiming in. They are overrated, Balky. Yeah, they might be. The Packers defense. Listen, what we saw in the first 2 weeks has not matched up what we've seen for the Packers defense over the course of the last 8 weeks. Todd P70, excuse me. I need to get readers. Todd P70 on YouTube right now, Casey, wants to know thoughts on Sean Tucker against the Bills. Thank you. And we appreciate you, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. Absolutely. So when you look at the situation with the Buccaneers and the Bills this week, I think, Casey, this kind of all hinges on Bucky Irving. The fact that he was limited in practice today has me rethinking the whole Buccaneers backfield, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if he plays this week. Certainly if he plays this week, there's no way on God's green earth you're playing Sean Tucker. At least I'm not. I wouldn't be able to do it. Okay. But if he does miss, and if it is the Rachaad White and Sean Tucker show, I still not break ties. I still look forward to starting more Rachaad White than I do Sean Tucker. However, I understand that Tucker's been the more effective back, the more efficient back, I should say, over the last few weeks. And I believe the Buccaneers coaching staff realizes this as well. And if that is the case, then yes, in deeper leagues, I think you could make the case that Sean Tucker should be started. I don't know about 12-team, 20-man roster leagues.
Yeah.
I put in for Sean Tucker in a ton of my leagues last night. I want him on my roster, but Kacey, I'm very uncertain whether I want him in my starting lineup in week 11.
Yeah, I think I'm not putting him in my starting lineup in week 11. Good thing you have him on your roster. Like keeping him on your roster is good. Just I wouldn't do it this week.
I think that there's an inclination to, especially if Irving comes back, that Tucker is no longer rosterable. And I don't think that's the case. I think that you got, even with the presence of a healthy Rachaad White, I think you got to find a way to keep him on your roster going forward.
Yeah.
As I have. All right. We do have a score here in Foxborough. So I last left you with the no gain on Trevian Henderson on 2nd and 1. On 3rd and 1 with the first play in the second quarter, Trevian Henderson rushed for a 3-yard gain, which gets into 1st and goal. And hallelujah, we have another Trevian Henderson touchdown. He goes off left tackle for 7 yards. The Andy Borregales extra point is good. We are tied 7-7 on the legs of Trevian Henderson, who is up to 7 carries for 27 yards and 1 touchdown. Dare I say, with my Dr. Evil Pinky in the air here, Kacey, we could be in for a massive Trevian Henderson evening tonight.
That's exciting.
It's exciting, and it's within the realm of possibility.
It is in the realm of possibilities, and I love that. I love that. I love that for him. I love
even
that
though
us.
You don't have Trevian Henderson on any of your teams, you're still rooting.
Even though, you know what? I like to see these guys that I don't have on my rosters, as long as they're not playing against me. Like right. I'm okay with it. You know.
And I think this sets us off to, at least for me in 2026 leagues, Kacey, which will be starting to be drafted in the FFPC and the KFFSC in about 2 months. We'll be drafting 2026 teams. And I got to wonder if Henderson does have a strong finish to this season, how high he's going to be drafted again this year. We forget about that first half of the season. We forget about Ramondre Stevenson. We forget about Antonio Gibson and all these guys like Grable, Josh McDaniels. And I wonder how high this guy goes if he finishes the season strong. Time will tell, obviously, on this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see where some of these guys end up next season in the drafts. Like, yeah, just to imagine, I don't know. I get like proud mom, especially if they're not on my roster. I don't have to like worry that much about it. Stay out of trouble.
The wide receiver position, we talked about Khalil Shakir earlier. We don't know if he's going to play this week. But the great thing about this next one is you can wait on it. Would you play, Kacey? Would you rather play Khalil Shakir this week for the Bills against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Or is the better play also in that same game, Tez Johnson, who is in Orchard Park to take on the Bills? Tez Johnson versus Khalil Shakir. Where do you stand on this one? Who are you playing?
And maybe it's my allegiance to Khalil Shakir over the last years, but I think I'm leaning that direction to just, even though he's been limited and everything, he's the guy who's leading the team in red zone targets. And that's kind of something I'm hoping, like get that touchdown. Let's go. So I'm going to put my faith in that.
It's always tempting to play the guy who is scoring the touchdowns, right? And Tez Johnson's been scoring the touchdowns for Tampa. And I think we have to understand that is not a sticky stat, even from week to week. And give me the guy with the higher floor in this sense, because I don't think you can bank on. I don't know how high the ceiling is with Tez Johnson.
I don't either.
He's already had 1 week with 2 touchdowns. I don't know if he has a 3 touchdown game in him. And I could easily see Khalil Shakir catching 2 touchdowns. So I think it's Shakir, a higher floor, and I don't think his ceiling is that much lower than Tez Johnson's as well. Last week's darling, and a guy who has been eating into the Cortland Sutton volume, has been his real-life teammate, Troy Franklin, Kacey. If you had the opportunity to play Troy Franklin this week, who is at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, who have struggled against perimeter receivers, would you play Troy Franklin over one Trey Tucker, who is at home, who is on the road against the Dallas Cowboys defense. I already talked about how I like the Dallas Cowboys defense this week, but at the same time, I think they might be able to be exposed by Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
This is a situation where I think a lot of FFPC players are facing this call between Franklin and Tucker. Not an easy one.
Yeah.
I think I'm leaning towards Tucker, but maybe you can convince me otherwise with Franklin here. How do you handicap this situation?
I honestly, I like both of them as plays this week. Trey Tucker, I think I am as a Cowboys fan, I know that you can torch some of those guys. You can get the big plays. You can do a bunch of things. And I think Trey Tucker's the one that's going to benefit from that in this one.
So it's Tucker for you over Franklin?
I think I'm going to I think I'm going to play Tucker over Franklin just as a man. It's very close for me, but I think I'm going to go Trey Tucker.
You know, the thing with Tucker, it's a detriment to the Dallas Cowboys defense, obviously.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you on this. I'm going to play Tucker over Franklin as well. Don't feel great about it, but again, we're picking at nits. We're splitting hairs here on the show tonight. On the Amazon Prime NFL Thursday Night Football, the Jets have led off their drive with a Breece Hall 1-yard run, a horrible pass by Justin Fields on 2nd and 9 that was incomplete to A.D. Mitchell, and then we have a completion to one Mason Taylor for 6 yards. McNamara then punts for the Jets on 4th and 3 from the Jets' own 38. It is a fair catch, and the Patriots have now taken over at their own 17-yard line, 7-7 tie, 12:43 to go in the second quarter. They're taking a break here. We press on here. I'll mention this as well. Mason Taylor up to 2 catches for 12 yards. Maybe a big night for him, maybe not. But Justin Fields has to pull up something with him at least against the New England Patriots tonight. Okay.
All right.
This is an interesting one, Casey. Jerry Jeudy, who had a big week 10, and I think most of us have fried this guy all season long. We don't like him. Versus Tyler Lockett, a player that many of us gave up for dead, and yet he gets released by the Titans. He signs with the Las Vegas Raiders, which is interesting because he is now catching passes from his old quarterback in Seattle.
Yeah.
And he's playing for his old head coach in Seattle in Pete Carroll. And if you think that's just if we're Sigmund Bloom and we're living on Narrative Street here, that's not necessarily the case because it happened in real life. Jack Besh did not do anything in week 10, and it was Tyler Lockett who got whatever it was, 5 catches for 50-some yards or whatever. So he's the thing in Las Vegas. Now, this is not ideal for anybody, but plenty of people are facing this. Lockett v. Jeudy in week 11. You can only pick one, Casey. Which way are you going?
Man, part of me feels like Lockett is the safer pick here because you kind of know what you're getting.
Right.
And with Jerry Jeudy, like we just saw it come on. Now, new play caller. Finally got a touchdown, right? Maybe he rolls with this. I'm going to lean into Jeudy on this one.
So Jerry Jeudy for the Browns is facing the Baltimore Ravens. This is in Cleveland. It's a negative, purported negative game script for Cleveland. 7.5-point underdogs are the Browns and Jerry Jeudy. When you look at Lockett, this is the Monday night game, I believe. Yes, it is the Monday night game. And they are 3.5-point dogs in a 50.5-point game. My brain tells me you're right on this, Casey. My brain tells me I am with you. And yet my heart is going to say, I'm going to roll. You said Jeudy, right? I'm going to go with Lockett. I'm going to go with Lockett on this.
I'm just like, it's either going to be like a slugfest big, or it's just going to be like, I don't know. I don't know.
Neither of us do.
I think that Trey Tucker's, I think Trey, that's why I said him earlier. So I'm going to say it's going to be his game and not.
and it very well could be.
Who knows?
And we'll I'll tell you what, that Cowboys Raiders, it's 3-5-1 versus 2-7. It's going to be a very interesting Monday night game. And I'll definitely be tuned in for that. Because we're both football sickos, we have to watch that because there's massive fantasy implications.
Yeah, there's massive fantasy implications. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be like I'm going to be frustrated the whole time I'm watching the game, but it's okay. I'm used to it.
Yes. Tight ends. Let's move on there and talk Dallas Goedert and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, I think a lot of people waited to draft as tight end 7, tight end 8 this year. And they also probably waited on one Dallas Goedert as well. And yet both these guys are having pretty solid seasons so far, Kacey. Kelce is at Denver this week. Dallas Goedert at home against Detroit. The Eagles obviously coming off a bad offensive game against the Packers defense. And maybe that's a thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe the Eagles just absolutely light up the Lions this week, who I think I have a pretty solid defense as well. But if you could only play one of these guys, and let's assume tight end premium just for the fun of it, would you rather play Dallas Goedert at home against the Lions, or would you rather play Travis Kelce on the road against Denver?
Think I'm going. So my wife has this predicament this week, so that's fun. I think I'm
Goedert versus Kelce she's facing.
She's got both of those guys. She's got to determine which one she's starting.
Oh, wow.
Week. So I would go Goddard on this one. I know it was low scoring, like you said, but it's the second leading receiver. I know that's not saying too much, but like earlier you said you got to throw it to somebody. Well, maybe in this one you really do got to throw it to somebody, and that's the guy that's going to eat.
Yeah, and with the force complete, or at least the force seemingly complete in Kansas City with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, Kareem Hunt can catch a little bit out of the backfield. We've seen the Chiefs utilize Brashard Smith more and more out of the backfield as well. It makes for a horrible internet stream tonight, but I'm with you on this as well. I think if you drafted both Goddard and Kelce's got to ride the bench for you this week.
Yeah.
You got to play Dallas Goedert over Kelce this week. So I'm 100% with you on that. Okay. Another fun one here. We'll stick in the NFC East, and we'll talk to you about one Zach Ertz, who is going to be in Madrid, Spain, with a 9:30 a.m. Eastern time kickoff on Sunday morning. Would you be playing Zach Ertz against the Dolphins, or is the proper play one rookie Colston Loveland, who is in the Twin Cities, to face the Vikings, Kacey?
I think I'm going Ertz on this one. I feel like he's more safe, and I think you know what you're getting with him. I know I said that about a lot of guys. I am one of those people that's kind of a baby and who likes the little safe guys here every now and then. And I feel like this is going to be the connection with Mariota is there. Mariota loves him, so I want to see more of that happen.
The connection's definitely there. And you know who's not going to be there is Terry McLaurin. He's going to be out.
Scary.
Deebo Samuel has like his production is going, it's trending in the wrong direction. And yet Ertz seemingly has this connection with Mariota. I'm with you. The Kmet thing with his healthy back now, I wonder how much that factors into it. I understand Loveland. Again, I said earlier, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, but there is something to be said about Cole Kmet being a proven player in that offense, playing the same position as Loveland. Washington doesn't have that, which is why I think Ertz is the play. I'm with you on that. Okay. Cool. 1st and 10 from the 17, we get a deep pass to Hunter Henry from Drake Maye for 23 yards, a Trevion Henderson carry for 2 yards. Drake Maye scrambles on 2nd and 8 for a 1-yard gain, and then it is another first down to Hunter Henry for 12 yards. Something called a Dearness Johnson gets -1 yards on that first down. And it is our boy, Kacey, Mac Hollins, catching a pass in the middle, 19 yards. It is, and that was on 2nd and 11. So it is now 1st and 10 from the Jets 27. The Patriots coming alive here, 8:24 to go in the second quarter. And glad to see Mac Hollins on board with a catch for 19 yards. I need more of that. Drake Maye, by the way, 8 of 8 for 77 yards. #MVP. All right, one final tight end question here as we motor through. Evan Engram or Luke Musgrave this week? Evan Engram for the Denver Broncos this week is taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Luke Musgrave against that hapless New York Giants defense in the Meadowlands. You can only play one, Kacey. Are you playing Engram over Musgrave or vice versa?
I'm playing Musgrave over Engram. I don't really like either of the situations, but if you're in that situation, that's the direction I'm going.
Kacey, are you watching the game right now? Just curiously.
Sort of.
Okay. Have you seen the Patriots jerseys?
I have.
Okay. We have Tip Major on X
Tip?
right now. Tip wants to know what we think about these jerseys tonight. These are the Nor'easter jerseys that the Patriots have released tonight.
I like them.
I don't have a problem with them, and I'm not a big uni guy. These are not eyesore jerseys. I think they're kind of cool. If anything, my son is colorblind, so he may not be able to properly enjoy the hard gray or the hard blue, whatever it is. Maybe I'm colorblind versus the soft gray on the pants. I don't know. But I have no problems with these. It's sort of like a slate blue, almost.
Yeah, I like that color a lot.
I think it's cool. I wouldn't want these for their every week jerseys, but I always like it when teams varied up a little bit. It's kind of cool, kind of fun. Cool. Makes you think you're watching Canadian football.
Hey.
Chris, yours truly, 5501 on YouTube. Would you trade Alvin Kamara and Marvin Harrison Jr. for Jalen Waddle, Kacey?
Yes, maybe. No. The answer is yes. I'm going to go with yes. I know this is one that probably took me a minute to actually get into the.
Yeah, it took me a while to process it a little as well, but I came to the same conclusion as you. Jalen Waddle, for whatever reason, has been able to buck a Miami team that is seemingly losing a lot of games right now. And Marvin Harrison Jr., appendectomy. He's going to miss this week.
That is crazy.
I know it's Jacoby Brissett, but even with Jacoby Brissett last week, 12 targets for Marvin Harrison Jr., he catches only 3 of them. And Kamara, I think, is dust at this point. The Saints are, they're in evaluation mode. Give me the elite player in this. Give me the best player in the deal. The best player in this deal for redraft, at least, is Jalen Waddle. We have another touchdown in tonight's game here, ladies and gentlemen. We have, after that Matt Hollins catch, Matt Hollins catches another 20-yard catch. Illegal contact on the Jets. That penalty was declined, which is great because then Matt Hollins gets credit for that. And then on the very next play, Travion Henderson, 7-yard carry for a touchdown. The Patriots have now gone up 14-7. Travion Henderson, 9 carries, 36 yards, 2 touchdowns, MVP of the league. Travion Henderson, probably not in 2025, but you never know going forward. Okay, last thing I want to say before we get out of here. Optimus Fantasy, RotoBaller, Sunday Dreamers, obviously the Get Real podcast. Take as much time. I want you to tell everybody about where they can catch more of you because you're doing a lot of cool things right now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I have a lot of ideas, so I like to pop them out there. So Get Real with Kacey Kasem is my podcast. I haven't done it in a while, and it's mainly because I'm doing a lot right now, so I'm trying to I'll ease back into it when the season's over. But it's
because I think people should understand that's not necessarily a totally fantasy football podcast.
Yes, it's not at all.
It's an evergreen podcast. It tackles a lot of stuff.
It tackles a lot of stuff. I talk to people in the fantasy football world, in the space that are in the industry putting out content or behind the scenes stuff. And I pick their brains and kind of just figure out their life stories and how they got to be where they are and the whole fun journey throughout, and give creators tips and tricks to kind of help people that are just starting. I know that it's hard to get started, and it's nice to have kind of that roadmap that you can kind of make as you listen to everybody's different episodes and kind of take your own ideas. It's a blast. It's like therapy for me too. That's what this. So I love it. You can also find me, like you said, with RotoBaller. I do a kicker article every week over there on Mondays. With the rankings, I give you some streamers, some guys to kind of fade off of, not start that week. And then I also, the Optimist show with Nate Polvo. And that comes out on Thursdays. We do that. So come hang out. And SundayDreamersClub.com. That's where you can get cool fantasy football t-shirts. It really means the world to me if you check it out. So I appreciate everybody. And I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to come on and talk with you and get to talk to you again, because it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while, and I'm always glad we can reconvene and do one of these shows at least once a year for sure. SundayDreamersClub.com, right? SundayDreamersClub.com,
and it's on at Etsy, so you could just go search for that too.
Perfect.
So there you go.
Rotoballer.com, optimusfantasy.com, x.com/the Kacey Kasem if you want to get the catch-all and everything that she is churning out, all this great stuff for the fantasy football industry. Kacey, keep up the great work. It is a grind. We will not complain because we love it.
We love it.
And we will continue helping people win fantasy football leagues as best we are able. Be good. Thank you for joining me tonight, and we will talk again very soon.
Okay.
That is Kacey Kasem from RotoBaller, Optimus Fantasy, Sunday Dreamers Club, and of course, everything she's doing, x.com/the Kacey Kasem. FFPC Weekly Challenge. The Thursday night contest is closed, but the Sunday night is open. No draft, no salary cap. Just pick 10 players or 12 players if you want to play with kickers and defenses. Win up to $2,500, 10, 30, and 100-team contest. One player per NFL team. If you want Trevion Henderson, you can't have Drake Maye. If you want Justin Fields, you can't have Garrett Wilson. Not that applies this week, but it is still true. MyFFPC.com, MyFFPC.com is where to go for that. We will be back next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Fantasy in Frames, Stacey Perez will join us from 7 until 10. Bills, Texans next Thursday. That's going to be a fun game as well. For our producer, Sean Engel, my co-host for the night, Kacey Kasem, I'm Eric Balkman. This has been FFPC Insider Access live on the Better Sports Network. Enjoy the rest of the game, everybody.